Today we're going to share some things about the Simpich Fiddlers, and it's really no surprise that my dad would have done a fiddler. His favorite movie was Fiddler on the Roof, and you can definitely tell in the work here that the energy that he put into these characters is very special. I think Fiddler on the Roof came out in 1970, and it wasn't till the early 80s that my parents set about to have a fiddler, and this gentleman is Mr. Tuttle, and he was actually designed to go with a miniature set of London street people. They aren't necessarily carolers like the traditional Simpich set, but they wanted to do a small set of dolls in a whole different scale, and they designed the Little London characters after a trip to London. I was on that trip with my parents and brought home probably definitely my favorite souvenir, which is my wife. And when they came home, they had all these ideas from their trip, and one of those was a set of little characters. And here we have Mr. Tuttle playing the fiddle, and he was the first one. Then about a decade later, we had this gentleman, which is a porcelain. My dad sculpted this entire figure out of a special clay, and then it was cast in what's called porcelain resin. And again, you can see the small scale, and actually a whole set here. Some of them are carolers in this set, but here we have the second Simpich Fiddler. And again, such energy. You know, when my dad did a full sculpture this way, he could just really carry the energy all the way through, and you know, with the clothing and a great detail on these. I mean, they worked out an actual bow that they're holding in their hand, and you know, the fiddle's tucked under the cheek of this one, which is quite a trick there with being a full sculpture that way. Then this is really, again, no surprise that in the mid-1990s, my parents set about to add a fiddler to their caroler set. And here in the Christmas room, we have their final fiddler. It's a great piece. And he stands with the caroler set and plays his fiddle. Great detail. Actually, my brother Reg designed the fiddle, and my brother plays the fiddle by ear, and so he knows everything about the detail on them, and he can almost approach a sculpture the way you would a carving, and he kind of carves along with the sculpting process when he puts together a piece. So my parents asked him to sculpt the fiddle. Great detail on the bow. I mean, if you look at this thing, it just looks like it would actually play. And then my dad designed the head. They worked out the costume here in the Simpich workshop, and he is the final personification or version of a Simpich Fiddler. You know, one thing about my dad's hands, the way he sculpted hands, he really was a master. You know, there's an old saying, the art teacher saying that we should all be able to draw or sculpt hands since we have them at the end of our arm. They're right in front of us, we should do a great job. But actually, they're very, very difficult to draw and difficult to sculpt. And both my parents did such a great job of simplifying hands, but yet giving them such great energy. And these hands are a great example of what my dad did with, you know, again, that give it character and movement, but not put so much detail that it becomes grotesque. Yet again, a great energy. I would know the way my dad sculpts hands anywhere. You know, he just really mastered that. And my mother really did more of the smooth children's hands and women's hands, and that was kind of her forte. So glad to share these gentlemen today. They're kind of being featured for Christmas of 2020. And so here they are, the Simpich Fiddlers here in the Simpich Heritage Center.